thank you for being a part of this celebration, 23 years of outstanding service with the traffic accident investigation. So at this time, I want the good men and women that knows Jim the best, just to give us some good stories to talk about our fellow brother in blue. So we're going to start with that young lady right there. We're going to have some fun.
Okay, first of all, I want to tell you, he's a really good guy. You know, has a really good heart, and he loves his children. But I think that anybody that supervises Jim McCormick should have got a pay raise for one step. When there was no supervisor over the AI, that Motors would be their supervisor. So the very first one was Barry Ross. So he had to be the supervisor of AI. Well, he told McCormick that he had to stay in the office all day long because he wasn't going to do no paperwork on him. So McCormick's in the office, and you know, everybody's listening to the radio, and there was a pursuit going on. Patrol was in a pursuit, and they were out here, Highland Gardens, Boylston, and all that. Well, Jim hears it, and so he goes flying out of the office. Well, Barry comes up to my office, and he says, "Jim's gone out." And I said, "Where is he?" And he said, "There was a pursuit." And I said, "Oh no." So anyway, we get in our car, and the patrol units have lost them, and McCormick finds them. So then the next thing we know, we hear McCormick, and he is running. I mean, you can hear him on the radio, and he's huffing and puffing and all that, and he's running, and he told the patrol units where to find him, and sure enough, they got him. And I got on the radio, and I asked him, I said, "Where'd you leave your car? And I'll go kind of secure it or whatever." And he told me where he left it. It was across the, on the northern bypass, across from where the zoo is. He parked it in all that grass, and the catalytic converter caught on fire, so you know the whole car burned up. So I drive up, and Jim has gotten back to the car by then, and he's on his knees. And I mean, that car is burning. It was a brand new car. And he turns around and he says, "I'm sorry." I said, "You know, there's nothing that we can do about it. It's just one of those things." And good luck to you and your family.
All right, I've probably known Mac the longest. We went through the academy together, and two of my stories are actually academy stories. One of them, everybody knows that police academy gradually increases their running. Eventually you run up to the state capitol. Well, at this point in time, the entranceway right there at the capitol was a little bit narrow, and there was sidewalks that protruded out and trees that were hanging over the sidewalks, and we were running up as a group. And as we're running up towards the capitol, there's a tree limb that's hanging over the sidewalk about head high. Well, for normal people, it's head high. And all the classmates, Jim's close to the back of the line. I think he's like second or third at the end. And we're running up in a single file line, and everybody's saying tree, duck, duck, tree. So everybody's continuously running and carrying on. And all of a sudden you hear, "Don't!" You look back and you see Mac's feet flying up in the air, because what he did was, as he was running, he just ducked his head. And the tree nailed him right in the top of the head. Closed on line himself.
I had, I guess you could say, the privilege of being Jim's supervisor for probably about 10 years as a sergeant and as a lieutenant. And I could probably talk for the next 2 hours. But first off, I want to say what a good police officer Jim McCormick has been. I remember he caught a bank robber. I remember that. Seized a whole bunch of drugs one night on a DL checkpoint. Worked boot-oodles of traffic homicide cases, and always did a fine and excellent job.
Jim is well renowned. He's world renowned. I spent 3 years in Afghanistan training the Afghan police, and we worked with several language assistants, and we trained the Afghan National Police as they came through. And maybe I was in charge of all the academy classes. And so as an academy class would come through, we'd go out there, and I'm standing there while they're marching in their first day of formation, and one of the students, for no reason, just falls. And I shook, and I had my arms crossed, and I said, "Jim," just like that. And one of the language assistants said, his name is not Jim. I said, no, that's Jim. And he said, so we started calling that student Jim for the rest of his academy. Well, the language assistants wanted to know why I called him that, so I started telling them McCormick stories. Now, the language assistants would laugh and cry, and they'd say, this is a made-up person. This is not a real person. I said, no, it's a real person. I had to show them a big photo of you, and they were like, that is how I pictured him, and everything. So it became a deal that every time they did a good day's work, their reward was they would sit down like little children at a campfire, and I would tell them a Jim McCormick story. And they would laugh. That was their highlight of the day. Well, every academy class, they would identify the McCormick of the class. And one day I was in my office, and one of the language assistants runs in, and he has tears in his eyes, and he's walking. He goes, Mr. John, you must come now. I said, what? I'm trying. He goes, no, you must come. The academy class had just started their third phase, and I follow him across the compound. We go to the first guard tower, and we're looking out over where there's a driving track, and he says, it is Jim. And I look, and the student that they had identified as Jim for that class was being walked back across the flat desert with the Afghan commander hitting him in the back of the head while the guy's limping. He's doing the Jim limp, and he's getting hit in the back of the head, and the commander is yelling something to him. And about 100 yards past him was a four-door Ford Ranger diesel in a hole with the back end sticking straight up 90 degrees. I've never seen the hole. I think it's the only hole in Afghanistan in Herat. But the McCormick student found it. He was not allowed to drive ever after that. He did not earn his driving privileges. Even the commander started calling him McCormick. So every class has a Jim McCormick, and my understanding is, and that was 7 years ago, they still have a McCormick of every class, is my understanding. They still identify a McCormick of every class. You're awesome, Jim. No one could ever accuse you of being dishonest. Give you the shirt off his back, would do anything to help you. Sometimes you wouldn't want his help, and he would still help you. Everybody loves him to death, but I'm telling you right now, if I was on a plane and Jim McCormick got on that plane, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to shake his hand, I might even give him a hug. I'm going to look at everybody on the plane, I'm going to say good luck, and I'm going to deplane. I don't care if they don't give me reimburse my ticket, I'm not going to get on the airplane with him. I love him to death, but he's too snake bit. I'm not going to be part of it. It's not going to happen. I have so many. I want to write a book, I really do.
We're going to present you with some goodies. The badge of 23 years of service. Thank you very much. All right, she's going to take a picture. The certificate, and again, the medal for 23 years of outstanding service for Mr. Lucky. All right. And Scott Cephalo will say the, what do you call it? The Scott?
Rolex.
Yeah. This is a great watch. Thank you. Wait a minute, I don't think it's working. Just kidding. It's something you can, black, you can display at your beautiful home.
Oh no, you have to give me that.
It's not empty, but this is your service revolver. 23 years. And this is your payment. This is your monthly payment right here.
That's my check of the month club.
There you go. All right. And you got any words for us?
I just want to appreciate and tell everybody I appreciate all y'all coming out. It means a lot to me. I really am going to miss this. I absolutely love doing what I was doing. I I did it for 21 years, and not getting up every day and doing it it's different. I know that you have to have the right heart to do this, be in here, care about what you're doing, and dedicate yourself to what you're doing, and it all pays out. As long as you got your heart in the right place, you can make mistakes, because none of us are perfect, and you will keep going through. As long as you be honest and true about what you're doing, you're going to always pull out through it. So I just want to tell everybody I appreciate everybody coming out, and I thank my family for standing by me and supporting me, even though they thought I was crazy for doing what I was doing. I still love it. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks to the family too. You know, you heard a lot of good stories. I'm not going to say any stories, but a lot of things that I asked, can we do this? They said no, and the only answer was McCormick. But you know, one thing that you can't question, I know David said, it's this character, man. I value your character, and thank you for years of service down there. So thank you.